Folks, my camera's a little blurry today. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully I'll straighten up. There we go. What's up, guys? Yeah, still blurry. We're doing artwork here for the Eberron adventure that we're going to be publishing on the DMsGuild. So give me a moment here. I'm going to check my signal, make sure everything's coming through. I'm going to do a quick intro, and then we'll get to work. I only got about an hour this morning. Time is conspiring against me today. Hey, yeah, there we go. Looks like I'm coming through okay. Time is conspiring against me today. Hey, yeah, there we go. Looks like I'm coming through okay. Time is conspiring against me today. Hey, yeah, there we go. Looks like I'm coming through okay. Huh. Yeah, okay. Looks like everything's doing okay. Let me drop that volume down there. I'm going to grab some. I'm going to grab the link here for the social media post real quick. Let me just say, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I am creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I publish on the DMsGuild. I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004. And I've been creating D&D content for 5th edition on DMsGuild since 2018. This is the first 2024 project that I'm resolving. It's for Eberron Adventure characters level 7 and 8 are fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair. And looks like I've gotten all of my windows straightened away, so we're doing all of the art assets, maps, etc. here on screen. If you think today's cool, I'm here 9 times per week. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books I've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have a 100% free preview, as will this. Let's see, it looks like we get that straightened away. There we go. Okay, cool. So we can switch gears now. I made this book cover around episode 40. We're currently on episode 471. Village combat map is what we're working on. Let's get this cover out of the way. There we go. Village combat map. We've got a small little village here. This is just the central. There's about 30 some odd farms, homesteads that are surrounding the community within, like, say 15 miles. Small lots of land. But this is the central, like, this is the hub of the community. There's a granary. There's a lumber mill. There's a grain mill. A smithy, stables, constabulary, and commons ground with a mayor's apartment in the back. And this is there's multiple maps. This one is depicting this village after being attacked by undead. One of the options in the adventure is, like, if your characters are using the default sheriff plot hook, where your characters are deputized to investigate missing people in a village community along the Carnwood in Carnath. By the time your team gets there, they've already been attacked, but they were already concerned that, hey, people are missing, there's weirdness in the forest. And by the time the team gets there, everyone is dead. There's been undead attack, and now there's just mobs of undead that are roaming the environment. And so we're depicting the map for characters to combat that. This is the most well-developed map. There's obviously been a pileup of debris to try to keep the undead out, which hasn't worked so good. Let's see. I'm leaving these arrows. I don't know if we have an earlier map in the adventure that shows the town clean without any violence. But it also isn't, since most of the earlier if the characters arrive in the town when the village folk are still alive, there's no real combat and there's no exploring the environment really. All the exploration is social interaction, asking people that are working in this hub, what kind of weirdness have you seen, where you at, and everyone directs you to basically exiting into the woods. This is the path that you take to the common path that they use to go into the woods to track, to cut down lumber and bring it back here. So the lumber mill is the most immediate, and these all have lift-off lids. So just to demonstrate that real quick before I get into bloodifying the floor a little bit more. The ones that don't have roofs on top are Well, actually, the constabulary is good to go. It got broken into, and he was attacked while he was in bed. He survived the experience, was able to crawl his way out. The dwarven constable crawls his way out, gets to the apartment where the mayor is at, and the mayor and the constable and some other village folk end up dying in here. And the majority of people that were in the village area gathered, ran into and tried to buttress the interior of the commons. But once the back door crumbled, it was just a slaughter. So CR0 or 1/8 villagers versus CR2 ghouls and zombies is not a fight. The horses didn't stand up either. Some of them got away, like the ones that are locked into their stalls. They died in their stalls. So we have a mixture of open and closed stalls. I still need to bloody up this area a little bit. I need to put some more blood points along here in the grain silo and attached warehouse. This is the clean version of it, which we need to bloody up. But like for example, the lumber mill here, it has a lift-off lid. So the roof is in a separate layer. So when you present this map, like say in a virtual tabletop, you'll have a separate token, like a separate icon for each of these roofs. That like here you can lift off the granary roof. Here's your granary interior. So you can lift all these things off, and depending on whether there was violence in that particular building determines what's the interior looking like. Obviously things didn't go well at the commons. Things didn't go well at the constabulary. Things did not go well at the stables. Things are not going to go well at the granary either. So we just need to add all those different elements in. So where are we at right now? We're at stables. We're at the stables. We're doing gore. I'm just grabbing. We start off with puddles of red, and then we'll layer in crystals that are encrusting on top of the blood as it dries. The effects of these undead from a bar and the environment of the manifest zone. Wind blows through the manifest zone and carries out spores and florets from the unnatural plants that grow in the bar and starts to spread into the forest. So there's on the wind, it's about 20 miles northwest of here is where the manifest zone is at, and the way that wind comes down off of the mountains, it blows to the southeast. So that current just comes into the village. So there's like this stink that's in the air. I mean, obviously there's dead people, so there's that stench, but there's like a general fetid rot odor in the air that's emanating from the forest that will help, if you follow your nose, will lead you into the forest. And as the stench gets stronger, you get closer to the manifest zone. It gets to a point where it can be sickening and diseasing for you to actually be in the manifest zone. That we have you can make a melange out of materials that are in the manifest zone to create a neutralizing effect, so you don't have to worry about the odor diseasing you. But it is a low-key threat, mostly designed to eat character resources, because we do have some of the 8th level characters basically fighting zombie hordes. So it's not like until you get closer to the nexus where there's like significant demonic threat, characters are only threatened by numbers. And social interaction with the patrols that come through there, undead hordes, occasional demon or shadow type creatures that are released. So it's as difficult as the DM wants to make it by piling threats onto the characters. But most of the adventure is designed to be allowing you to either scale back or lean into combat throughout the entire adventure until you get into the actual nexus of the manifest zone. That's when you're more likely to be facing serious, significant threats. Like once you get into the manifest zone, things get dangerous. Outside of it, not so much. Seems fairly normal. do a little. I got squares going. We're gonna keep them. I just want to smudge this up as like footprints. Undead running through puddles of blood to acquire more puddles of blood. There's a little wall here. You can just climb over the wall to get to the horses in their stalls. There's a gate, a slatted gate, solid wall, a half wall that's high enough for horses to poke their head out over, like while they're drinking water and eating grain and stuff, but they can just push their head out, you know, to say hi. But just as easily, undead can crawl over it into the stall with the horses and say hi to them as well. And that's not a conversation anyone really wants to have. We have trigger warnings at the beginning of the adventure saying, "Hey, there's gore in here. Bear caution." And this is actually this blooded map is in the it's not just an optional map that you can choose to use. It's one of the default maps, assuming that like we depict this in the adventure. So if you're sensitive to blood, be careful. Spoiler alerts. There's undead here. But I think there's a lack of blood in a lot of RPG stuff. Even when it would make sense to do it, I think I don't know, maybe it's a sensitivity issue. Wrong path. This is where that belongs. Lots of bloody footprints coming through here. Got a squeakiness in my chair. I'm trying to find the Allen wrenches that I used to build it. I can't fucking find them, so I'm gonna have to end up buying new Allen wrenches. Just can't find them, but I'm hoping that if I can tighten the bolts on the undercarriage of the chair, I'll be able to reduce the incidental squeakiness that ensues when I flop around. But this door got torn free. This door is swung open. Some of the stalls are open. Lots of footprints. Never did finish this map. It's otherwise it's done, and it's got decent separation. Like we can separate these doors into separate elements so that they can slide freely. So on a VTT, you can have them as separate assets that just sit as drawings for you to slide open as you need to if characters want to open the door. I mean, it's easy enough to open the door. Undead don't necessarily figure out how to open doors. Some of them can, depending on their intelligence. It's also easy for them just to climb over the wall. It depends, I guess, on what they're trying to achieve at the moment. Hey Foxy, how you doing? Yep, village map. Hey Foxy, how you doing? Yep, village map. So they get in without necessarily blooding up the place. They get in here, they get to a horse, they kill the horse, and then they got to climb out to go get another horse. So once they create a blood pool, then they hop out of the half wall. So let's just put some blood. Isn't showing on the half wall because the half wall is on a higher layer than the gore map. The same. This is being done on the same layer as this layer going underneath the. Most stables don't have solid walls that go. I mean, they can. It depends on how you build it. A stables can have wall from floor to ceiling. You could have a half wall that's over the head, like over the height of the horse, that goes to the floor. You could have a wall that only goes up to their chest, so they can't jump it. They don't have enough space to jump over, but they can flump their head over the wall so they can say hi to each other. And then at the floor, you could either have it go all the way down to the floor, or you could have a gap between the wall and the floor. It's not like the horse is going to slide underneath there and get away, but it makes it really easy for you to prevent mold and to clean out a stable if you leave like a 6-inch gap at the bottom of the wall that separate the stalls. But that gap also lets blood flow through. It allows rodents to come and go as well. I mean, rodents are going to get in no problem anyway. It's not like a well-built stable with walls. They're not just going to chew through the wooden walls and get to the grain if there's any grain. Actually, that problem is going to be more significant at the granary, obviously. Stables is not a huge source of rat infestation issues. They come and they go, but only if you're storing your grain in the stables with the horses do you really have to worry about grain issues. So that's why you have barn cats and stuff, is because they're hunting the rats that are hunting your grain. But since the floor is lower in elevation than the walls and the ceiling, the layering is such that the floor is at the ground and the floor is the bottom layer, then the blood goes over that, and the walls are over that, and then you have the roof. So in that process, I'll have to make it just a separate impromptu layer above the walls, but below the roof, so that I can have blood like spattered on these half walls, so it's easier for you to see how they're. I mean, this is pretty obvious how they're navigating through the space, but if I put blood, and we have a different color here for the wall, this as a half wall, and then we have these darker colors here for non-traversable surfaces that act as barriers and obscurement. So technical stuff. It's I like how well D&D has parsed its terrain features. It's pretty simple into difficult terrain and limited visibility of being obscured, partially obscured, fully obscured, or clear line of sight. That degree of separation, I don't think there's a need for a deeper layer of distinguishing terrain than difficult versus just normal terrain and obscurement. Those 3 degrees of cover, of no cover, partial cover, or no, it's no cover, partial cover, 3/4 cover, and full cover. And like being behind this wall, poking your head up to shoot an arrow would be like 3/4 cover. And then ducking down behind it again would be full cover. Climbing over this barricade to get out into the commons area, that would be no cover because you're climbing over it. You don't have any defense. If you're just like looking over it, you have partial cover. Or you'd have 3/4 cover. And then once you get to like your sternum, it'd be like half cover. But yeah, I like that system of distinguishing mechanically, like how does the environment affect. It's simple. D&D 5e is built to be simple, very on off with very little degrees of separation as a base system. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I like the 5e game engine. It can be clunky and heavy, but the efficiency of using the system really is, I think, up to the proficiency of the people that are using it. If you play a lot of 5e, you get pretty efficient at playing 5e. If you run a lot of 5e, you get pretty efficient at running 5e. I think a lot of complaints that come out of the community about, D&D is hard to run, it's because it's a skill set. Chess is also very fucking difficult if you don't spend a lot of time playing chess. It's just there's a lot of technical bits that go into it that can determine the outcome of any particular game. And I think our culture is, I'm at the risk of sounding like a long tooth, I think our culture is losing the respect for how long it takes to get skill in something. I think people that have taken that skill, that have gone online, have made things look easy, and so people see the end result of what acquiring skill can do for you. This becomes an easy task, but it's all the pain and labor and frustration that gets you to a point where it's easy. You don't just start off fucking easy. It gets tough. It's tough. It stays tough, and it gets tough again whenever you start running into stuff that you aren't familiar with. Hey, what's up? Is there a combat encounter that is happening on this map? Yeah, there's this village is overran with ghouls and undead, like zombies and yeah, for the most part, zombies and ghouls is what the team is going to be messing around with. But this is an optional encounter. This is only if the team, depending on the plot that you're using. If you're coming in with the default plot of being recruited by the sheriffs to investigate missing people in a village, there's a non-bloodied map of this village, but there's not a lot of interaction in it. I mean, it's all social interaction, which means that you don't actually need any kind of tactical maps. Only if the DM wants to have the village attacked by undead to move the story forward or to create consequences of actions, do you need to worry about a combat map. So like you could go into the forest and then come back the next day, and if the DM wants to change the tempo of the adventure, they may have been fine, and then while you were gone they were slaughtered. One of the plot hooks is, we need help, please come, and when you arrive, it's already too late, they're already dead. So instead of interacting with people, you basically sift through the wreckage and find the clues. And so the clues that you need to move on to the next segment of the adventure are built in so that you can find them, whether people, like if you're alive, if people are alive, they'll tell you about the things. If they're dead, you'll find like physical evidence that leads you to what those things they were supposed to be talking about talk about. So it's unnecessary for the villagers to be alive for you to move from one portion of the adventure to the next. But like say let's say you completely fuck up role playing, and your characters just end up pissing everybody off in the village, and they aren't interested in you. Well, if the plot kind of is geared around your characters are supposed to be there and are theoretically trying to help this community, so them starting off on the wrong foot and being assholes, it would derail plot points. However, if that's what happens, then just attack the town, and then you could use a clean version of this map without the violence, but you can just add roaming packs of undead in. And then the town is being attacked, so you can have the team intercept and then kill off the dead. It'd be a fun little 3-hour romp to do that. And in that romping process, you establish, hey, we're here to help, and here's physical evidence that's true. We're going to kill these undead and try to protect as many of you as we can. If your team gets there after the fact and they're all already dead, then it's a vengeance mission. Very easy. All the foot tracks, all the tracks come from the forest. They came from the forest. Let's go into the forest so you can see all sorts of footprints coming out of the forest, and once they start finding people, things start to get bloodied in their footprints. And all the evidence leads to the forest. So even if everyone is dead, the details all the details they find in the village will just be context, but everything just points to the woods, and they can just literally follow the woods in. And once they catch scent of the stench of Mabar on the wind, and the footprints correlating with it, you can either just follow your nose or maintain a tracking check. But there's also people in the forest that you'll intercept that will help say go that way while you help them. So it's all very I'm not gonna call it railroady, but it sets your characters up to success to go and find the things that you want them to go and find in the process. So ghouls and undead will look cool. VTT undead bleed out green blood. That maps will look insane after the fireworks happen. Right on, man. Right on. Yeah. So we have the clean map, and then we have the layered over map, and each of the blood works, and each of them is also separately layered. So like here in the commons, see like that didn't work. Yeah, see all the blood leading between buildings is on the ground, but the blood inside the interior of the building itself is self-contained. So you can drop in, like if violence ensues, you can drop in separate buildings as you please, or just use the default. Like this overlaps perfectly with the non-violent map. Just insert gore. So trying to layer it out so it's easy for people to utilize, whether in physical space. We have black and white versions of these with no color at all, and we don't have the blood works all over the black and white map, but it exists so that you can potentially print these things out. Like on, I recommend we're formatting it so that you print it on legal sheets, 11 by 17 pages. That you can feed those through and like break this basically up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 maps. If you want to do the full map, you can just break it up that way. So all of them can just be broken into their segments. But alternatively, each of these buildings is built so that they can fit on 1 or 2 11 by 17 pages. So you can break up the map and put it down on a physical table if you wanted to, as black and white maps that you printed. But I always assume that you're using a virtual tabletop, even if you're in meat space, because VTTs are just easier to interact with. If you have a loosey-goosey theater of the mind game, then you don't have to worry about maps at all in physical space. So back when I played in physical space with people, I did theater of the mind and would do only very loose maps, like mostly just referential, like proportionate, like go that direction, or like here's one room in the dungeon, and then you like take 15 minutes and you arrive at the next chamber in the caverns, and then there's off left and right which way you're not sure which way you want to go, so you decide. Like that's the general extent of map work that I do when I run an actual physical game in person. Like if I'm doing a table, like over the table game, that's the level that I use. And in most times when I'm playing virtual tabletop, that's just the general level of mapping that I do in my actual games. It's fast, it's efficient. I will say this: the less organized your map, the less they know if you're improvising. Like my general philosophy is make a map while you're actively gaming, running a campaign or whatever. Have your maps be at a low enough point of detail that they can't tell if you're improvising or planned out this environment ahead of time. And that means that you're going to have circles and stick figures and bullshit. It's going to look like garbage, but they'll never know the difference. It's only when you actually when you're actually running a structured I'm apparently working in black right now. That is, I don't know how long I've been working in black. Oh good, it's only been momentarily. Good. I was afraid I was doing all these footprints in black, but it turns out I was only visiting black for a moment. Foxy, you're talking like you're planning on running this adventure when it publishes. That's whether you do or not. The language is encouraging. Maybe you're just asking technical questions from a first-person perspective. Oh hey, what's going on, Akira? And you want to have the footprints thin out over time as they get further away from the blood. just the thinning effect of ground grabbing muck off of your feet. You know how life works. Some physics you don't have to grind down too much, you know. This will leave the shelter of the stables and then join up with the rest of the packs that are running around. Text, what's up? Run it. I plan to run it, hack it apart for my own device. I mean, I do run. Oh yeah, that's right, you do, don't you? You know, the DMs we had. I ran this with 4 different teams, and then I had 2 other DMs run it with teams as well. That was the playtesting that we did. I ran this, I think, 8 different times across 4 different teams. And then the feedback from the DMs. The DMs that ran it, one of the DM ran it as a player, and then grabbed it, picked it up, and then ran it as an adventure for their own team. And then somebody else just was like, "Yeah, I want to run this. Can I? Will you give me the assets for me to run this with my team?" I was like, "Yeah, I was looking for DMs." I'm like, "Great, gimme," and I did, and he ran it. And in both instances, they took all the components from it and basically just reworked it so that they could use it, which was great because the information that was in the adventure, they said, was sufficient for them to be able to peel it apart and put it back together in the way that they wanted to make it cool for the team that they were playing with. And that, to me, was a solid endorsement. If you can take the components of something, rip it apart, and put it back together in a different way so that it becomes more useful for you in a live game, that means that the meat on the bones is thick enough that the content is there, that it's self-contained logic that allows them to grab components and rework them as they needed to. It was self-referential, it was fully contained. It was some random feedback here and there about like things that could get changed, like clarifying the boss, like the final boss fight, and how the ritual worked, and some points like that needed clarity that we were able to invest time in to spell out. But for the most part, it seems like it was designed to be a toolkit that was organized into a plot-oriented adventure that you could walk through from front to end. But it's also modular enough that, like, the plot, like the plot hooks are modular. 6 different plot hooks with different sets of rewards and different information that you have when you start the adventure, so you can approach it from different perspectives. And then each section, like each dungeon, is isolated, so you can peel out a dungeon and use those separately. There's like, if you were to consider the village map a dungeon, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5. Yeah, there's 5 separate actual dungeons, and then there's a number of mini dungeons, or like terrain maps, like 20 by 30 encounter maps as well. Like all the optional encounters and stuff have their own maps that come along with it. There's obviously random encounter tables for the different regions that you're going to explore. But inside of each region, there's the wandering monsters, and there's also optional encounters. Like there's prepared encounters, which are like numbers on a map. Like when you're in this area, this is the kind of shit that you can expect. And then there's those are prepared encounters. There's the wandering encounters, which is while you're transitioning from one to another prepared encounter, you have the chance of stumbling across something, thus wandering encounters. And each region has its own unique wandering encounter that ratchets up supernatural. Like it gets more and more supernatural as you move further and further into the adventure. And then do that over here. Like there's like I think D4 plus 3 ghouls that are still in these stables if your characters decide to poke their nose in, which isn't a significant threat unto itself. But if you there's like a I believe the mechanic that we have in the book now is when you engage in combat in the village and there's still packs of undead that are roaming around, every round of combat that you're engaged with something, it's a scaling 1 in 6 chance of attracting another mob. So if it takes you 3 rounds to resolve this mob, you're basically on a scale of 1 to 3 on a 6-sided die, you're going to attract the attention of an additional mob. So your team gets to a point where you either figure out how to knock down mobs quickly to minimize the chance of having another one spawn on you, or you get good at being quiet so that you aren't attracting unnecessary attention. And there's a homestead map of the farming community that's untouched, as well as cleared out from people leaving, or has already been attacked by undead. So there's similar pools of blood in the farm, and there's a corn maze, or there's cornfields. So one of the things that I have on my docket to develop here on stream with you guys this month, probably in the next couple sessions, is going to be the cornfield maps. It's a tiled system, like a tiled labyrinth through the corn maze. You know, it's a corn maze, right? So there's open paths through the corn maze, and they're modular map sizes, so you can rotate and clack them together to make ongoing pathways through the corn maze with piles of blood here and there, with victims that you find trying to run away from the farmhouse, getting caught in the corn maze by undead. So there can be roaming packs of undead in the corn maze that you can hunt down, which can be its own fun little mini adventure sort of thing to do, like little Halloween fest. If you want to play corn mazes in D&D for your Halloween, then we'll have those available for you guys, which is fun because once this thing actually publishes and we get to in October, we might actually be able to publish something for October 2025 using some of these maps in a Halloween sort of theme, like the corn maze, the cemetery. There's a cemetery map. It's like a 52 by 52 square cemetery map, like 250 feet in size, inside of crumbling walls with like a crypt and mausoleums and sarcophagi, and then open graves and sinkholes that are flooded with rainwater that can spawn any number of undead from them, because you can't see the bottom of the sinkhole, so you have no idea how many undead are actually in it, so you can make a stream of death that comes at your characters if you wanted to. So, but that cemetery map can be built as like a Scooby-Doo sort of have non-combatant characters that need to hide behind headstones to avoid roaming packs of undead while you're looking for clues or the MacGuffins that are lost inside of the cemetery. So you can have you can run it as a combat encounter or as a stealth dodge mission. A lot of fun. You can play it in different ways. It just depends on how you want to run it. This door's closed. This is looking. I think I'm feeling pretty good about this. That's not bad. I think I want to drop another. We'll drop another puddle here. How are we doing on time? Yeah, I got about 20 minutes. I had a late start today, so cheers. I got my chair's been squeaking lately. I think the Allen wrench bolts on the undercarriage are starting to loosen. I can't find the frickin' Allen wrenches I used to build the chair in the first place, so I'm probably gonna have to Amazon a new set of Allen wrenches. There's a hardware store. It would take me about an hour for me to get to it by bus. So I don't want to mess with that. I'm just gonna order them. I'm just gonna order them online. Have some different toolkits brought to me. It's not like I can take a bolt off the chair and take it into the store with me to fit it properly anyway. If I had the ability to do that, I would have already tightened all the damn screws. Alas, earwax. So we're making the blood pile, and then we're going to add the environmental stuff, the crystal grit that grows on the blood, the fungus that grows out of the crystals and starts to fill the area with stench. The moss that there's different types of moss that grows on the crystals. So blood dries when infected Mabar stuff is around puddles of blood. It coagulates not into normal blood but into this black crystal substance called Mabaran crystals. The larger they are, in the actual Eberron game, Mabar crystals are like gems, and you can use them to cast spells with. So this soil grittiness is like an industrial powder that if you use alchemical processes, you can convert this stuff into like a chalk or charcoal that you could use to make magic circles or powder and crush during a spell. But it's expensive, so it has gold piece value. I think like a 5x5 square of this is worth, I think it's worth 10 gold pieces. So like if like you need 500 gold pieces worth of gems to to animate dead, well, if it's 500 gold pieces, then basically you could harvest 50 squares of this into a powder, a fine little like saffron type powder, that 50 squares of this would just basically be a fistful of dust in the end. But it'd be like a solid charcoal chunk of necrotic material that could be used to power undead or darkness-based rituals, spellcasting. It duplicates a spell component. So basically, each square is 10 gold, is worth 10 gold. If it's literally just laying in an environment, you can just literally just take a snow shovel, like a snow shovel, and just scoop up all this soil, dump it into the processor, and at the other end comes necrotic powder that you can use. That obviously requires alchemy, mage rights to set up a facility to run that, which is in the adventure. So if your team decides to take over the operation instead of destroying it, you can be in the business of generating necrotic powder, which is a fun option. We have the option for you to take over facilities here to like literally make them your bastion if you wanted to. Like one of the side rewards from the sheriff plot line is since you clean this place up and you've won the trust of these villagers, we're officially going to permanently deputize you to become sheriffs, and this region will be your reward. And so you found that fortress, great. Here's a stipend to clean it up, and all of the rooms that are in the fortress are labeled like armory, warehouse, laboratory, workshop, like all the different facilities that you would find in the 2024 bastions. We've relabeled all of them for 2024. Since this is coming out after the 2025 books have, we've relabeled those different areas in the map to be like ready to be a facility in your bastion. That's what I'm trying to say. So we've had to rebuild. So some of the time that took, like this should have been published by now, but when 2025 came out, I wanted to make sure that since Eberron is still putting out stuff on DMsGuild and obviously still publishing books from Wizards of the Coast, I wanted to update this to be relevant to 2025 because I just legitimately like the 2025 rules better, but the way that it talks about things from a DM's perspective, it's different. There's different tools in it. So we updated the book to utilize those tools, and since Bastion is one of the intrinsic parts of the new DMG, then well, you know what, we can make bastions out of this. I had already had suggestions in the adventure, like if you want to make this like your domain, your fortress or whatever, here's what you do, blah blah blah. And so we just had to update that stuff for 2025. But that's one of the appendices, like continuing the campaign or or continuing the adventure. That's the type of stuff that you talk about. And continuing, like, if you have an adventure, you should have a continuing the adventure or continuing the campaign as part of your content. Like, here's how you can make this be a springboard to additional adventures in the future instead of just being a standalone thing. I mean, it could be designed to be a standalone thing, but you want to think about it in context of how is this going to benefit further, how is this going to facilitate additional gameplay in the future. And I think I've got enough blood on the ground, so I'm going to step away from that. Let's see if I can do this efficiently. Let's go to, I'm going to conceal the storage layers and push our way up here. Let's I can put the roof back on the constable because that's yeah, the constabulary already has some crystals growing in it, but it's not large enough to warrant a bunch of fungus growth yet. Though I could probably put some basic moss in there. I should consider that. Hold on. Let's conceal the silo. That's still the constabulary. Commons. Let's go with, you know what? I'm going to dodge the issue because this isn't very fun watching me pick through folders to find. I'm looking for the asset layers for each of these tiles are separate layers or separate elements that I've stitched together. So if I can find the right folder, then I can start extracting these and drop them into another folder for the stables. But I don't actually need to get there yet because the silo actually needs blood in it too. So the silo and the stables are technically the two areas I need to work on, but I'm working them to look like the commons and the constabulary. But I don't have any blood in the silos yet, so I need to go through and do that. So I'm going to dodge the tiles and just focus on just this one thing, and then maybe tomorrow. You know what? Honestly, I'll probably do the tiles off screen later on tonight. So this is probably the only map you guys. This is probably going to be the only stream of me working on this map. But once the map is done, I'll be able to break apart the individual components of this and drop them into the adventure, like talking about like the monsters that are in the stables, monsters that are in the commons. Each of these points are things that need to be, like, each of these rooms need to be discussed separately. So they're broken down in the adventure, and then I have to provide the elements to them. Like, here, I'll show you real quick. I think it's going to be page, I want to say it's page 13 to, where are we at right now? It's page 1 to 7. I think 8 to 10 is the 8 to 12 is the homestead. I think it's 13 to 15. I'm waiting for this thing to pop open. See if I'm right. Oh no, this is the homestead map. 13 to 17 is homesteads. Like you can see here, like these homesteads, they had some bad circumstances too, and I need to continue to bloody up this map. But here's the start of the cornfields, and this is just one tile, but we could tile infinitely out of here for miles. Additional cornfield mazes. Just run through the thing, and then occasionally you'll find, oh, looks like Undead found some people in the corn mazes here. So you can, as you get further and further away, like this will probably be the only instance of bloodstains in the cornfields, but we can tile this out so that you can have infinite cornfield mazes, have you know, like just like variable connecting points inside the map to be able to move around. But this is not the map that I'm looking for. Hold on. So it's going to be 16 to 21. Save changes? No. 16 to 21 I think is what I'm actually looking for. This should be, yeah. So you can see here, like the mayor residence, area 12. This is this part here is area 12. This part here is area 13. We broke them into 11. This is 11. This is 12. We broke them into separate chunks. So the porch leading to the back apartment hangs from its frame awkwardly, but it doesn't immediately open when pushed, obstructed by something on the inside. The door isn't into the residence is blocked by the body of a heavy dwarf. Pushing it aside is easy, but doing so quietly requires a successful DC 17 intelligence stealth check. Otherwise, the noise attracts the attention of two long dead. Long dead are crystal-empowered zombies that are emaciated to have all their flesh drop off, but their bones have been infused with this crystal grit that hardens their bones, so they become a higher CR skeletal creature. You hear the sounds of scraping along the floor from the next room as a pair of blackened skeletons bristling with sharp crystals stumble awkwardly towards you, lunging to attack. The dead dwarf is the village constable. Tracks from area 2, constabulary above, lead to where this body lies. Moss and black florets sprout from the pool of blood around the dwarf, while black crystals bristle around the edges and from the gaping wounds across the dwarf's body. You need characters that take the search or study action to investigate that the residence notices the dwarf was already wounded while rushing here from the constabulary. An intelligence investigation DC 15 reveals the dwarf was caught between pursuing undead and the skeletons already inside. In addition, an unlocked wooden box at the foot of the bed has a set of leather armor, 3 changes of clothing, and a small pouch containing 57 copper pieces. A hand axe +1 lies on the floor beside the dwarf body. So, very simple, basic shit. Then you drop it in here, and then we have space down here for some sort of illustration. I'm not sure what's going to happen down here. This is still a work in progress. But this gives you an idea of like how we're breaking up the information. Community well. Not much going on around it. It's just a point. There's a rumor mill around the well. If the town folk are still there, if you walk up to the well, there's people there, and they're just talking about bullshit that's happening that can provide clues for what's going on to the characters. But you know, it's just an adventure. So when you're using the 16:9 format and you fill your page, this is basically your control panel for this section of this section of the village. So you just, you know, kick from page to page, and it'll feed in the details for you. So this one isn't done yet, right? I'm just using it as placeholders. But we have things properly sized here to be able to utilize it. So, like I said, work in progress. A lot of these components are in place. They just need to be properly assembled. And that's what we're going through the process of doing, making sure all of our ducks in a row so that when we finish the page, we can step away from it. What's up? Oh, hey Akira, sorry, I've been neglecting the conversation here with you on the side. That's not a personal thing. Yeah, this will be publishing on the DMsGuild. It's an adventure for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 2024 rules in the world of Eberron, which is one of the published adventure campaign settings. I'm not sure, Akira, if you're a D&D enthusiast or not, because I know my stream shows up for people that are interested just in art in general, which obviously we do a lot of art here. Monday through Friday in the morning we do artwork, and then we do on Monday night and Thursday nights, as well as Tuesday and Friday lunchtimes, we do game design for the rules for D&D to develop further to create new opportunities of adventure. Storage gore. There we go. This is actually storage, warehouse, floor, and then we have warehouse gore. So let's start goring this place up. Arrows indicating how doors open. Cheers. Cheers. Slides open. Hey, what's up? Hey, right on. Yeah, most of my game design stuff is Magic the Gathering. The game design work that I do, like tonight we're converting the Bard, the 2014 Bard subclasses into 2024 mechanics, and we're using the color mana system. So I developed, just to toot my own horn here, The color magic system here, if you click on it, all the books that I publish on DMsGuild are 100% free preview. People buy my books because they decide after reading them that they want to encourage similar behavior in the future. So here's the color mana system. This here real quick. Sorry, quick tangent, everyone. I can't help it, but the mechanics of how color magic works in D&D, how it breaks down into the different colors, some different generic aspects of magic, like general descriptors of what each color represents, as well as the damage types associated with each color, and then take the general aspects of magic plus the damage that they deal, creates a matrix of what color spells would these naturally be. These are just their native colors. Like if someone were just to cast an Acid Splash, it doesn't cost any mana because it's a cantrip. But generally, Acid Splash would be depicted as a black or a green spell effect, because Acid in MTG is generally black or green. But then when you get down into here, like Burning Hands, fire is obviously red, as like Lightning Bolt or like Shocking Grasp is also obviously red, because there's like Shocking Grasp is a first level spell, so I won't find it here. It'll be up here. Shocking Grasp, obviously red because lightning. There's like 3 MTG cards that have lightning that are blue as opposed to red. For the most part, it's like vastly more red. Bless as a white spell, that's just kind of intuitive. Burning Hands red. First level spell, it costs 1 mana to cast a spell. If that mana is blue, you can't cast Burning Hands. Or Bless. If it's green and you have Animal of Friendship or Armor of Agathis, either one of those, you'd be able to, if with that green mana, you'd be able to pop one of those. Whenever you finish a rest, short or long, you can change the colors of every point in your mana pool. But like a 3rd level spell, a 2nd level spell like Scorching Ray, also red. It's a 2nd level spell, so it takes 2 mana. 1 point has to be red, and the other point can be whatever color you want. And if you want to use a solid magic system, then you devote each point of mana to a specific color, and when you're out of that mana, when you're out of that color, you can't cast those spells anymore. If you want a more liquid system, then all of your mana pool is just mana. And then when you cast a spell, you describe what color you use. So if you're a Rakdos character using a liquid system, then you have a mana pool of like 40 points, and you don't care what color mana you're spending. You just describe it as red or black or both because you're Rakdos. If it was a solid magic system, then those 40 points, like 15 of them are red and the other 25 are black. And if I want to cast a white spell, I can't, unless I've learned that spell as black or red. Otherwise, like, it's easy for Azorius to pick up white spells. It's easy for Azorius to pick up blue spells because Azorius is white and blue. Rakdos is red and black. They don't play in white and blue at all. So stuff that you would expect to be on Rakdos is easy for Rakdos to get because it's naturally black and red. But it would take effort for an Azorius character to spend the downtime to research those spells so that the color that you want them to be, white or blue. So that encourages you to stay connected to your guild and to have downtime activity so that you can actually, because the higher renown you have, like in the Azorius Senate, the higher rank you are in Azorius Senate, the higher level spells you can convert to your color pool for free. So it has a lot of internal logic that some people just don't want to fuck around with. Like that's deeper mechanics than I want, but I like the flavor of it. Well, great, you've got 40 mana, throw it around any way that you want, and when you throw that mana, your Azorius, make it blue and white looking magic, and that's the descriptive flair that you've chosen. But all the actual mechanics of like building your character to use mana, like here's spell point sorcerers, spell point warlocks, for instance. This one is built to use color mana or not. And since I have to rebuild this book, oops, that's my timer. I have to rebuild this book because they got rid, the DMG got rid of the original spell point system, where it was like 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. I hate this spell point system. I think they made it bad on purpose. So this PDF will remain legacy, but I get to drop this page. Like, I don't have to use this anymore. We can just go with my mana system, which is a warlock, gets pack magic, which is 1 point per level up to 20 points at 20th level. And then once you get your Mystic Arcanum, at 11th level, you start getting a secondary pool of additional mana that comes back on a long rest. You can spend Pact mana to cast spells up to level 5. You can spend Mystic Arcanum points to cast spells of level 6 up. But Mystic Arcanum can also be sacrificed to cast Pact spells. So at 11th level, you technically have 17 mana. 11 of it comes back on a short rest. All of it can be used to cast common magic up to 5th level. But if you want to cast a 6th level spell, you only have 6 mana. It's going to cost you all 6 of that mana to cast that 6th level spell. At 13th level, when you'd be able to cast a 6th and a 7th level spell, you have 13 mana. At 15th level, when you cast a 6th, 7th, and 8th level spell, you now have 21 mana. And of course, we go up to 10 at 19th level with this system, so you can have like sling up to 10 mana with a 10th level spell slot, quote unquote, but it's just 10 mana. So by the time you get to 20th level, you've got 40 mana total, which is a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th level spell slot. That's 40 mana. So there you go. 40 mana on a long rest, and then 20 mana whenever you finish a short rest or pop your Eldritch Recovery as an initiative action to regain all of your mana, like at 20th level. So, but that's the quick and skinny of it. It's a super simple system. It's so simple. I think Wizards found this right away. They initially found this when they were building 5e. I think what they said was, this is so simple, why the fuck would people want to use spell slots? Because a 1st level spell slot and a 9th level spell slot is the difference between 1 and 9. Just make it 1 mana and 9 mana. It's super easy to do. I think it was so easy, they'd be like, why would people want to use spell slots if we had this mana system in place? So I think they made it clumsy on purpose, so they could preserve the legacy of spell slots to keep D&D feeling like D&D, which, you know, I mean, that's my conspiracy theory, because it was such a clumsy system. This 2, 3, 5, like a 9th level spell being only 6.5 times more powerful than the 1st level spell, that doesn't make any sense. That logically, just looking at it, immediately says why. And if your system makes you say why with like a discerning question mark like that, then what you've got going on isn't a good idea. You want to find as many head scratchers as you can and make them smooth and easy to use, so that you aren't scratching your head so much. You're just playing the game and letting the mechanics of the game just fold into how your game is played. Anyway, that's my MTG stuff, so check that out. I've got like hundreds of videos about me creating MTG stuff, and I'll be adding to them tonight with the Bard, converting the Bard to get it up to snuff. But I've squandered my time this morning. Sorry, guys. I squandered my time talking about MTG stuff because, honestly, MTGs, I'm converting MTG into D&D is my greatest joy in book creation. It's just, I love it. I think it's super fun. It's so intuitive, and it's frustrating to me that Wizards hasn't gotten to this point where they're looking at, I mean, it's obviously my design principles are different from theirs. And so I'm always going to be, you know, thinking, well, doing it my way is the best way, duh. But I actually put in the time to provide those tools for other people to use. So I make them free to use. That's why I provide the full preview, so you can read the entire document, so that you can utilize the skills. And if you're, you know, people that really get into the stuff that I make, they end up, you know, eventually buying my books. So I get my compensation because I put in a fuck ton of time to make these things. It's nice to have a price tag attached to it, so I can be like, yes, I earned $10 this week. Nice. But 20 years from now, it could be like, this is a decent, you know, 20. Who knows what's going to happen in 20 years? If I keep at this long enough, maybe this will build into a channel that it'll be a monster, and we'll be doing all sorts of stuff. The goal for me is to be able to create without making it feel like a job. So I'm being as meticulous and slow in this process as I can to make it fun, prioritizing making it fun, so that I don't have to hate what I love, you know? That's what game, like making a business out of your hobby is a really quick way for you to end up hating what you love. And then where are you at? Who are you now? That's something very concerned about, because I've been there before when I did freelance character art and freelance book illustrations. It was just like I was constantly doing stuff that I didn't enjoy. It's like, why am I doing this? Because I wanted to have the bragging right of making a living off of art. Am I enjoying it? No. So speaking of which, it's 7:56. I got to go to my day job and do the day job things, and that allow me to come back and work on this in the evening. So I get to keep my hobby as my hobby without trying to figure out how to make money, and so I am blessed to be able to do so. I've been ignoring my stream again. Sorry. $10 make you holla. Damn straight, my dude. But yeah, check out all my books down below if you think this stuff is cool. I'm here all the time. I stream 9 times per week. Monday through Friday in the morning, I'm illustrating whatever book is going to get published next. In the evenings and at lunchtime when I'm doing game design work, I've got multiple channels, multiple playlists of different books that I'm at different stages of developing that are basically stacking up and waiting for attention. Like a I'm gonna skip the analogy. I was about to talk about my Catholic family growing up and how many kids there were in my family, and waiting in line to get attention from your parents for a few minutes. That wasn't actually my life. That was my father's life. But he's not here, so I shouldn't really talk about him. Sorry, I'm off the deep end right now. I just think it's funny. I just this image of waiting in line to have time with your parents. It's like that's what a tragic. I mean, it's not like you're an orphan on the street or anything, but still, like being told you have to wait. You're not important right now. It's like that's gotta brutalize that 50s mentality. Which I think is where a lot of trauma comes from that older generation. They just didn't have the proper language to identify like stuff is broken in your life. Anyway, obviously I'm like way out of pocket right now, so. But yes, my books are like children waiting in line for love and attention. I can only do so much work per week, and whoever my next kid that's leaving the nest is due to leave the nest. They're getting the lion's share of my attention. And once this finishes, I think we'll probably do I think we'll probably actually publish the bashing campaign book next. That's the one that gives me the most excitement. So I think that's where I want to prioritize. Good, these blood patches look good. But we're still like developing the martial power system and the color mana system, and so once this gets out, I can start bouncing between different documents and pushing them all forward and start doing cover art, and then. Once we get to a point where they're good to go, we'll throw an editor at them and then get them back and do the page layouts and then the artwork for them, and then they graduate into being published, and then we grab the next book and we keep going through book after book after book, punching out ideas and building out things, and I'll eventually be done with all the books that I want to do, and I'll look up and like, what's next? And then I'll probably make a game. I'll probably kickstart a role-playing game and run that. There we go. That's some decent blood work. I want to have one. I want to have some out here too. There we go. All right, work in progress. We're doing good. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably drop patchwork on this tonight when I'm off screen. I don't know if I actually want to spend another video working on this map in particular. What I want to do is take it and break it up and then start dropping it back into the other documents so that we can have the proper gore map depiction for the pages, so we can start building out, finishing off those pages. But next book, we joust. Jousting. So awesome. Dragonflight was such a fun video to make. That was a really fun video. The Spelljammer mechanics that we have. The next play testing that we're going to do is going to be mecha combat and kaiju for Spelljammer. So that is 100 like converting Storm King's Thunder into a mecha kaiju campaign, XCOM style. I think that's going to be. I think there's a lot of fun potential there. A lot of fun potential, and that'll probably be. I think that's going to be in February that we're going to start doing that. It's a while away now, but we'll get there. I don't know, maybe November. I know we're going to be doing Mage Tower stuff probably from August till January, but maybe we'll layer in some Storm King's Thunder in there. We'll see. It's a lot on our plate, guys. I should be doing this full time. I just can't make the money, so I gotta parse this stuff out when I can. So thanks for being part of the journey. I'm going to kick out of here from now. I'm going to be back in about 10 hours. Yeah, it's time for me to go. 6 p.m. or earlier. If I can get on earlier than 6 p.m., I will here in Seattle. 10 hours from now, I'll be back on. We'll be rebuilding the bards for 2024 Color Magic. So like, subscribe, bell icons, notifications. Check out my stuff. Join my Discord. Look at my books. Blah, blah, blah. See you guys on the other side. Thanks for being here.